Today we are making a vegetable soup broth base. So a little bit different than our broth, like freezer scrap bags where we throw all those scraps into a bag and then let broth, make the broth by kind of simmering some of those scraps in some water. We're gonna make more of a paste today using some of those similar vegetables. I really like this idea because it takes up less space in your freezer and it kind of gives you more of a concentrate that you can kind of play around with and just keep in your freezer to kind of use as needed. So just to get started, I've got about 3 carrots in here, a few stalks of celery, some leeks, and I just let those simmer in a little bit of water. You could also roast them until they were a little bit softer. So carrots, leeks, and celery are what I'm using today. Celery root would also be really, really great in here. Like the root of celery, it would give it a really great flavor. You could also add some of your vegetable scraps to this. So if you have that veggie scrap bag, adding some of those onions or carrots and letting them kind of simmer with some of these vegetables in here. But for the most part, I would say I've got about 3 or so heaping cups of vegetables that would commonly be in like a broth. And then I am going to add a couple tablespoons, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. And then about 2 tablespoons of kosher salt. So the salt is actually really important because the salt is what's going to help prevent this paste from freezing completely in the freezer, and it's going to make it more of a substance that you can like scoop out. And then a little bit of onion and garlic granules. You could also absolutely add some garlic or some onion like I said. And then a big handful of parsley. All right, so all some pretty standard things that we might have in broth. This is a pretty decent food processor, so you can see it's really, really chopping that stuff up. And you could throw some raw stuff in here if you wanted to, but I just don't think it's gonna puree the way that you want. So this is probably gonna take a few decent minutes to kind of get to the consistency that we want. And then once it's kind of pureed, you're going to add one more thing. You're going to add some of soy sauce. So I have coconut aminos today, probably about 3 tablespoons, but soy sauce or some coconut aminos will do the trick, and then you're just going to blend that up one more time. And that's pretty much it. So we've got leeks, celery, stalks of celery, carrots, parsley, a little bit of tomato sauce, a little bit of soy sauce or soy sauce substitute, and then some kosher salt to help prevent it from freezing completely once it's frozen. So then you're going to store this in an airtight container. So I'm going to use this glass mason jar here. And it is definitely like a paste. And then when you go to use it as a broth base or as a soup base, you're going to use about 1 tablespoon of this mixture to 1 cup of water. And then if you like it a little stronger, you know, you can always add a little bit more. So you just kind of want to tap that down to make sure there's no air bubbles in there. And then then I'm gonna put some parchment paper on top and go ahead and freeze this. So I've got a little bit of a broth base. This is gonna be good in the freezer for 6 months. And then when I go to use it, I'm gonna scoop out a few tablespoons, add it to my simmering water. There's gonna be some little particles of maybe some vegetables left over, not a big deal at all. You can always strain it if you want, but I really don't think that there's a need to do that. So great way to preserve some of those vegetables for this winter and to not have to buy some boxed broth.